Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of my podcast, Metamorphose. This podcast is for everyone who wants to build a successful career or business through finding their unique value and unlocking their potential. As the name suggests, in this podcast, I share stories of people who went through some transformations in life and who help others to go through some tough times in their career or business. And as always, I invite all of you to find me on LinkedIn, Substack, and YouTube. Follow me and share your comments, ideas, and questions. I'll be very happy to hear from you. Today, I have an amazing guest. She is an executive and team coach, facilitator, trusted advisor, and managing partner at EUNEPA, an expert with more than 25 years of experience. I'm blown away how knowledgeable she is. This lady works with global companies, executive teams, and leaders, supporting them at all stages of their development. And she has passion for people and personal growth. I think that's what connected us, actually, because I share that passion as well. She strongly believes that leadership can be learned from everyone, and we will talk more about this later today. She brings curiosity and a whole lot of joy to her work. And I'd like to share with you as well that she hosts an executive EUNEPA Leadership Thought Lab. It's a gathering, a small group of diverse leaders who share and learn together, and they host quarterly sessions as far as I know. But let's ask her more about these things. A warm welcome to Pari Namazie. Hi Pari, how are you?
Hey Luba, lovely to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. And before we start our interview, I'd love to share a little background about how we met. We met earlier this year at a conference in Dubai. And as we spoke first time, for me, I felt the instant connection. And one reason is, of course, because we are both coaches. But another reason that I felt that we shared the same passion for growth and development. And I was thrilled to know that you have accepted my invitation for this podcast. And because I know the great work you're doing with coaching leaders, but also with coaching female leaders. And for those who are interested to know more about your work, your project, your organization, and your services, of course, I invite you to connect with Pari on social media, and I will share the links to your channels below this video. So you can easily find Pari and reach out if that's the person, that expert you're looking for. But let's go get into the details. Let me ask you my first questions. I have a long list of questions. Can't wait to ask you. Can you tell us a little bit more about your personal story? Where you are from originally, and what brought you into leadership coaching?
Thanks, Luba. Yeah, the question, where are you from originally? Lovely question. So I'm born in India, and then I was raised in Iran, and then I studied in the UK. I went back to Iran, and I worked there for many years. And now I'm based in Vienna, in Austria, as my main home, and my second home is in Dubai. So I'm very often in Dubai as well. How I got into leadership coaching. Yeah, so part of my work, I've always run my own businesses. I've always been an entrepreneur. I think since I finished business school, and that was in London, and I went back to Iran after that, and soon my husband and I, we created our own business, and we are management consultants, and we've been doing that You say 25 years. I think it's more than that. I think it's probably 30 years. I haven't done the maths to that. But yeah, we started our own businesses, created new businesses. So I've probably run at least 5 businesses so far. One that I loved very much was I started an HR consultancy. And this was such a beautiful, beautiful company and work that we did. And that at the time was working with all organizations. So I think my global role with Fortune 500 companies started then and supporting them wherever they were. One of the biggest lessons we learned as entrepreneurs is our customer comes first and always understanding what is the need that we're there to support them and keep asking those questions. What are their needs? What are the challenges they're facing? What are the pain points they're facing? And from that we grew. We grew as individuals, as a company, our skills, our expertise. And I think that role of trusted advisor and a trusted partner started then. It was always because we understood what do our customers need first. And part of the leadership journey for me was similar. So it was working with a client. This is in Dubai, and I'd finished a project with them, became quite a trusted advisor. And I remember this client, he it was a managing director for a company, and he had just arrived in Dubai. And then his question to me was, I need a coach. And I said, yeah, no problem. I have a big network. I'll find a coach. And I put together a really nice list of coaches for him. And then he said, but why is your name not on this list? And I said, but I'm not a coach. He said, but it's okay. I want to work with you. And I'm also very good at dealing with risk and opportunity. But it did scare me when he said, I want you to be my coach. I'm like, but I really don't know what it is to be a coach. And as honest as I was, he still said, nope, I want you to be my coach. And so I said, okay. So I remember probably the first time I coached, I talked to a lot of my coach friends and said, so how do you do this coaching thing? And they gave me a lot of tips. And so I did my first session and then I did my second session. And it was, I guess what I learned from coaching is it's a lot about listening and it's a lot about holding space for someone. And that's what you bring. That's what you bring. It's not about your agenda. It's not about being in our mind. It's just listening and seeing where's that person going? Where are they blocked? How can you help unblock them or support them in their own growth? And I found I enjoyed that coaching. And I think this client enjoyed the coaching too, because then he said, Pari, now you coach my team. And I'm like, oh no. I mean, yes and no. And I realized, okay, that's where the coaching journey really began, because then I said, okay, if I'm going to go down this route, I have to become a coach. And what a beautiful transformation that was, because when we do the work, you're doing work on yourself. So when you go to coach school, you actually start learning about yourself and where your blocks are. So you get coached in order to coach others effectively. So what a beautiful gift that was to me. And that's how my journey in coaching began.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I recognize a lot of things when you talk about transformation, and indeed, when you go into coaching, you're not only learning to coach, but you are actually transitioning yourself, go through this transformation yourself. And I've experienced that as well. And I love when you talk about your business and you use the word beautiful. And I think this is so rare that I hear it from business people who talk about their business as something beautiful, really. I work a lot with entrepreneurs and startups, and they're all very driven, ambitious people, but nobody talks about their product or their business as something beautiful, but you do, and I really, really love it. And you are a person with so many cultures. You born in India, raised in Iran, and living in Europe and Dubai, working with so many different cultures. How do you integrate this international background into your work? And the reason why I ask you this question is because I also work with a lot of women that come from different countries, or they move to the Netherlands and they struggle. They struggle. They think that they're, because they come from a different background, it's a disadvantage. And they struggle to find the strength in it. So I want you to share your story here. How do you integrate this international background into your work, and how did it help you?
Yeah, I remember years back, this is still during my days in Iran, and this is actually how the HR consultancy was born, working with clients. So I'm working in an Iranian setting with multinational clients. So the multinational clients come in, and these are like people from all over the world. They're Europeans, they're I think it was mainly Europeans, but the Germans, the French, the Italians, the Scandinavians, from all different cultures. And the questions they would ask me is that, Pari, what is it about Iranians? Like, you tell them to be here at 8 a.m. They know they have to start working at 8 a.m. and no one can come at 8 a.m. And yet they'll always come and say, oh, sorry, the traffic was bad, or oh, I had a crisis at home. And you're like, but plan, why can't you plan things? And so it was interesting to notice that there were all of these different cultural nuances. So I got very much involved in intercultural communication and multicultural communication. And that was actually how I started. I did a PhD. And my PhD was exactly on that cross section of understanding cross-cultural management. Why do we manage differently? Why is it that we communicate differently? Why is it when you want to say yes, you actually say no? Or you are saying yes, but you don't want to lose face, so it's actually no. There's so many different nuances, and that was fascinating. Again, part of my own development was understanding our different cultural value orientations. I think that gave me a very good base. It wasn't only the traveling abroad and being curious and meeting different cultures. I think that curiosity is always beautiful for us. That when we start with curiosity, you have an open mindset and you can ask the questions. You're not fixed on something that my way is the right way. You're curious to ask. Maybe there's something I can learn from this. And I think that intercultural journey, part of my PhD work, now also working globally, it starts with curiosity. It starts with an open mind, and again, asking the questions and knowing. I think one of the very important words is not holding a judgment to something. It's not saying that, well, my way is better. I don't have an ego about my way being better. I'm here to learn. And for the entrepreneurs out there, or for the women out there who might question that, okay, my background, I might not fit into the cultural norms of the business world, but you have something unique that you're bringing. Find that. Is it listening? Is it the way you ask questions? And one of my, the things that I loved, and I'll give you an example of this, is I used to hold these round tables of bringing leaders together. Now I'm doing that in the Leadership Thought Lab, where we bring different and diverse perspectives and we learn from diverse perspectives. And I always remember in a session where there was, I think it was a European and an Asian person, and the European is there with structure, and the Asian is there understanding the flow of life. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a structure, but I can deal as an Asian with uncertainty much better. That perspective is so powerful. But you have to be confident to know, bring that voice in. That's an important voice. And so whatever background you are, you have an important part to play in dialogue, in communication. And I think the biggest thing we fear, things that I might see in my clients as well, is that a person might feel limited. It's our own self-limiting beliefs. If I in my mind say, I don't fit this norm, then I'm not being the most or the best version of myself. Bring yourself. Everything, every question you have is a valid and a good question. There's no right or wrong, but it's having the confidence to do that.
Yeah. No, these are great, great tips to basically, first of all, learn what is your unique point that you have, that you bring from your own culture. Find out about yourself. Second is to be confident to show it, to demonstrate it in your work or in your business. And the third, what I've heard is that adopt the curiosity mindset. Don't think that this is right or wrong. Be curious about things. And I actually personally think that curiosity is a really interesting concept. And I think whether you are in business or in a corporate career, curiosity is a really a long-term fuel for you to keep going, basically. That's what I see when I ask my clients who are building a company. I ask, what do you need this company for? What do you need money for? Oh, of course, they say, I want money. I said, okay, and then what? You have money. What else? Well, I want this and I want that. So, okay, and then what else? What else is going to keep you in the business? Yeah, you have achieved everything. So you have bought everything you wanted. You built everything you wanted. What else is after this? And when they exhaust their list of things that they want to achieve, they often come to the realization that I just want to keep doing it because I like it, because I'm just in this game. I like to be in action. I want to be in it just for the sake of the process, really nothing to gain anymore. And then it comes out that, why do you want this? Because I'm just curious. And that's where when I realized that actually curiosity is driving you to go through all of this, yeah, things in life. And I think if you realize this, it's really powerful insight, because you're not limited to thinking, well, I need money, or I need career, or I need this, because these are all like finite things in your life. You will achieve it, okay, you will get it. And then what? Does it make you happy? Does it make you completely fulfilled in your life? And often not, because we still want more, we still want other things. And I think when you build your career or your business from a perspective that I'm not building it to earn money or to become rich or to build an empire, but you're building it with a mindset that I am just curious and playing with this. That's a completely different approach, and I think a much more sustainable approach, actually. What do you think about this?
I'd add something else as well, not only the curiosity. I think the passion is very important. So for entrepreneurs, the biggest why is connecting to passion. The mindset is curiosity, perhaps, that if I have a curious mindset, that helps us. But connecting it to your passion is the most important, the purpose and passion. Why am I really doing this? So start with that. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we here? Because it's not going to be an easy journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the day I started my PhD. It actually took me 9 years to finish my PhD. In the middle of that, I had my second daughter, and then I started my HR consultancy, Atia Roshan in Iran, and I just wanted to do everything, and I never thought, well, think about how thin your everything is hanging on a thread because your time and your energy is then so particular. You have to be so careful how you spend it. But I remember when I started my PhD, the dean of the school said, "Why are you here? What's driving you?" Because if you're here just to get a PhD, you're here for the wrong reason. So if a entrepreneur is here for the money and the fame, you're here for the wrong reason. So be honest with yourself in the beginning. What are you here for? Connect that to your passion. Really, really understand what is your passion? What's driving you? Because on hard days, when you're not making your sale or you are struggling with talking to clients or getting people convinced, yeah, that's when people give up. So if it's clear what the passion is, that's what'll keep driving you.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Sometimes it's difficult to understand what is my passion, and a lot of people come to coaches with this question that I don't know. I like a lot of things, difficult for me. And mostly these are people who have a lot of talents and gifts, and they're really blessed with a lot of wonderful things that they can do, but they are struggling to understand what is my real passion. And for me, that's also not something that I have figured out very quickly. I guess at the beginning of my career, I had a feeling that I wanted to work with business people and leaders, but somebody told me that this was really difficult or something, and I believed that person, and so I took a detour. I went into a different profession. I started to work in marketing, so on and so forth, and eventually I still found my way back to my passion. And when I reconnected with it, I really knew it 100% that this is it, and this time I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to believe anybody who's telling me it's not going to work out or blah blah. I would just say no, this is it. And so what I'm saying is that sometimes that inner voice is so soft and weak that it's hard to hear it and believe it, that this is your passion. But I think this is really important. Listen to yourself and believe in what you feeling now, what you're telling yourself.
Yeah, it's a lovely point. It's a lovely point. It's I'm actually thinking of a number of young people starting their careers who I understand that question of passion. What do we know? What is our passion? How do we find our passion? And it's also partly you say, I have passion. I might enjoy horse riding or I might enjoy playing the piano, but that's a hobby. It's not where I want to direct my life. And it's not where's my career. So if I hear someone talk about horse riding or playing the piano, there's a creative side there. There's a sporty side there. There might be an outdoor side there. There might be something to connect with animals there. Keep digging, keep digging, keep digging to understand what is that. Hobbies also tell you a lot about what's below that. And so the more you dig, it's uncovering what are your values over there? How do you stay authentic and true to that? So I think why I'm in this work is because I love connection. I love connecting with people and I love hearing people's stories. And if I can support them on their journey, I do so gladly. I think it's my purpose in life. So it's really uncovering that. And you're absolutely, you're right, Luba. We don't find that immediately. It's not like we're born and we know, oh, this is my passion, this is my purpose. No, you're constantly discovering that, but be open to it. I used to force myself on a Friday to do some business development tasks. And so I blocked my entire calendar. And every Friday, I'd find everything else to do but business development. And then I realized, okay, so this is telling me something. I don't want to do this. I want to be outdoors. And it's so funny. So I'm also quite a creative person, and I didn't carve in enough time for my creativity. And if I don't do that, I'm not living authentically to myself. I'm silencing a part of me, and I need to let that live. To be my full authentic self, I need to make sure all parts of me are
How does
being
it impact
on.
you when you don't allow your creative part to breathe and to live? What happens with you then?
I know for myself, I go too much into my head,
Mhm.
and I disconnect with the rest of my body, and maybe that's partly disconnecting with my heart. So my creative energy, it brings me joy. Taking a walk in nature brings me joy. Watching people swim, children, playing, it brings me so much joy. And so it's connecting to those things within you that do bring you that joy, that happiness, whatever it is for you. Another one of my creative impulses is I'm a baker. I love baking. And so if I'm not baking, that's for me a sign, what's happening, Pari? Or I'm not in my garden. You didn't do your planting this year. What's happening, Pari? This is not you. So it's connecting again to those energies, because I really think if we don't, yeah, it's again keeping the right balance, making sure you have the right balance of what you need. So if you find your passion is a little diminishing, why? What's missing? And try to reconnect to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. There are many ways how we can help ourselves, but you need to know what's working for you, basically. Yeah, you need to know, and you need to listen to yourself carefully to pick up those signals. Don't let it get to the point when you're feeling completely burned out and already laying in bed, cannot move. There are signals much earlier that you can pick up, and then you can act on it, basically. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's a really
absolutely.
great reminder. And in one of your interviews that I watched online, you talk about courage, resilience in leadership. And as you work with leaders, this is probably one of the hot topics that come up in your conversations. What what do you think about female leaders in conjunction with courage and resilience? And can you share your perspective on female leaders? What about our resilience?
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate and very humbled and blessed to work in the field that I work. In UNEPA, our work focuses on leadership development. Um, and it's interesting, Luba, you talk about female leaders and courage and resilience. Um, I coach both female leaders as well as male. And I'm often asked this question by women. They always ask me, but men don't have the same issues that we do. They have, we might doubt ourselves, or we have more self-limiting beliefs. And this is maybe part of culture, maybe socialization. I don't know. I find it very hard to distinguish between women and men that way. I've met a lot of male leaders who also have self-limiting beliefs. So I put leadership into one bundle, and I try not to segregate the women and the men from that. Um, as for courage and resilience, I think courage, let me focus, however, on maybe messages. If your audience are more women, I'll focus on women, and say, for courage, it's making tough decisions. it's being able to be authentic. And I think as women, we can bring in a beautiful feminine energy that we have. And it is unique. And sometimes we try to operate in a man's world. So we try to behave the way men might be behaving in leadership. And my advice to women is don't do that. Bring your unique strengths forward. I've seen teams, very high performing teams, excellent teams that are run by women. And the leadership qualities that they bring in are so powerful. They listen, they make space, they lead from the heart and the head. It's a very strong leadership. And I'm not saying that men don't do that, but sometimes a woman can bring that element in. Being vulnerable, being able to say things like, I don't know, or this was a mistake. That takes courage to do that, in my opinion. And the resilience shows up where you say, okay, we did this didn't work out. We're going to pick ourselves up and keep going. And again, I think women have that quality because there's so many aspects. I think women often multitask so many things in our lives, with family, with parents, depending on where you are in your journey. Sometimes your children, when your children are small, it's the busyness of life. So you're trying to juggle the career, the children, the family. As you grow older and your children grow older, you're almost juggling aging parents and looking after them. So we're caregivers as well as having a career and so forth. So that, I think, makes us so very resilient in managing all of these things and keeping it all in motion, keeping it going. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. But I have another one. When you say that you don't distinguish between female and male leadership, and I do understand why you say that, where you come from. However, you said that the energy of women is different and bring that energy in your workspace. What is different about it? Can you identify that?
Yeah, I think also from the last the last piece I was talking about, the energy, I think it's a nurturing energy. It's a And when I use the word nurturing, it's also perhaps um, being able to see people and see their growth and development. Sometimes that vulnerability can come faster. The fact that we can admit failure or mistakes, somehow we can do that. I find women taking that role, like saying, "Oh, this was wrong. I made a mistake over here." Admitting mistakes where sometimes men might be more hesitant. And again, I don't want to, I'm very careful not to stereotype over here because for me, I've seen both of this in men and women. And a lot of times I talk about feminine energy and masculine energy, and I think that's in everyone, that's in each of us, but they sort of show up in different ways and for different reasons. Um, I've seen women with less ego. They're less attached to an ego. They're more attached to their team and this nurturing sense and the bigger picture, where sometimes I've seen men more focused on the ego. I'm here because I'm the one who can drive this and change and do this in the organization. A woman might say, I'm here because I'm driving the team. I'm here because of the company. But I haven't heard very much from the women that I've at least worked with that it's all about me. So sometimes that's different. And you need both of those, right? Sometimes drive, taking risks can come from that ego. Yeah. So it's getting that right balance.
Yeah. Ego is a very interesting topic. I think we can talk for hours about egos. And I wanted to share one observation I have. from working with female and male leaders that I work with, and I often hear one limiting belief from men entrepreneurs, that they tend to think that nobody can do better this job than him or her, and that is one of the key reasons why they struggle to delegate things, and that they become a really big bottleneck in their business or in the corporate role. And for women, it's very different. A limiting belief that women tend to have is more about I'm not good enough. Yeah, am I good enough to do this role? And that leads to lack of confidence, taking on bigger roles and stepping into the leadership positions and so on and so forth. So I do see these things clearly for men and women. I don't know. Have you noticed that? Probably you also came across these things as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. For, if you're talking about men having the self-limiting belief of I'm the only one who can do it, and so I hold this and delegate less. I've if I try to see what women would, say in a situation like that, I found women delegating less, but it's not that I'm the only person who can do this. It's saving time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me, it's saving time. So I'll do this and I might not delegate because I need to just make sure this is being done. So I sort of see that distinction. The not being good enough one is a very strong one, very, very strong one. And perhaps earlier career, I've seen this perhaps when women are promoted, there's that doubt. There's a lack of confidence. But very soon, once they arrive in that role, that changes. So for me, that's part of the transition. So someone going through a transition, if you take on a role, if you were given a new promotion and it's a little bigger than what you think it is, there might be the self-limiting belief that I'm not good enough. Look at all of these excellent people on this team. I'm not up to their standard. But again, it's always, how do you build that confidence? You build that confidence with experience, with examples, and over time. Some things work, some things don't work, but it's building that confidence. And of course, it's hearing the acknowledgement from others. That feedback is so important. And I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, but in UNEPA, we have also this leadership development platform called RAISE. It's called RAISE Learning. And we also have RAISE Coaching. And it's all about deepening. So it's not only the learning, but it's also focusing on behavioral change. And one of those areas that we ran for some time and still have is a program for women leaders. And it actually focused, one of the pillars was on self-confidence and belief. And what do we need to do? Because I think that is a one of our challenges as women leaders. So how do we build that confidence? So I the pillars, I would always say in leadership development, it has to start with awareness. So we have to be more aware of what our strengths are, what are we bringing? And that confidence will build as a result of that, as how we become more aware, then you also build on that. That's something I would always advise and suggest to entrepreneurs, to leaders. Work on your self-awareness. Try to understand what is your core and what you bring.
From a practical perspective, how can they work on this? What can they do? What like practical steps that they can make?
For awareness? For awareness, it's conversations like this, where are your strengths?
With a coach, or a conversation with friends, or a conversation with
it could also be a conversation with peers. It could be one of the lovely tools is go out and choose a number of people and have a conversation with them. Ask them, what are my skills? Where are my strengths? If there's one area you think I can develop and improve on, what would that be? Talk to people. Don't be afraid of getting that feedback from people. I think it's such a powerful exercise to do. And so the exercise would be this: if you want to raise your self-awareness and you don't have a coach and you want to do it on your own, you're not working with anyone, but you want some feedback on what you're strong at, identify a few people you work with, people you don't work with in your social circle, and ask them, what are my skills? What are my strengths? What do I do well? Just name them. Give me examples of things I do well, things that impacted you. You know, how did I impact you? And what are the areas what can I do better?
Yeah.
There's simple questions, and write that down and see what comes up. Take a piece of paper, have this down on my strengths and areas to improve, and see what comes up to you. See what are the themes over there. That also helps a person identify if they don't know their passions very well. It also helps them identify how they're being perceived. You know, that helps us understand what are our blind spots that we don't know about.
Yeah.
You want to do something else, you do something like a strengths finder, you know, an MBTI, a DISC assessment if a person wants to identify some of their areas of strength. Beautiful, beautiful exercises that someone can do. And of course, working with a coach just helps you deepen that and holds that space. And I think with coaching, it's not only identifying and uncovering these, but it's what are the actions you can take to stay on this journey.
Yeah, exactly. Coach is there to hold you accountable, and that's an extra that you get from working with a coach. But you're right, there are many resources out there, free, online, available, as well as you can leverage your network and find out as much as you can, as much as you want about yourself. And that's already a very big step about raising awareness and what you're good at. I think you've shared a lot of great ideas, and I really love it. I hope the people that will watch this episode will find it useful as well. Thank you so much for your advice. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your personal story. I really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thank you, Luba.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again sometime.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.